The gay rights movement. Society is constantly evolving and changing. These come out as social changes known as reforms. These reforms consist of multiple movements leading to a completely different ideology and expectations within society. One of the most notable movements of today is the gay LGBT rights movement. This movement has changed society's views for the better within a long-lasting struggle for the rights of homosexuals.
The gay rights movement is a reform supporting same-sex marriage and individuality. For hundreds of years, people looked down on loving the same gender as it was considered a sin. In 1924, however, Henry Gerber founded the Society for Human Rights, one of the first gay rights organizations in the United States. In 1925, the group was disbanded for political reasons. In 1950, 25 years later, Harry Have founded the Machine Foundation, one of the nation's first LGBTQ groups. 2 years later, Dell Jennings, a Machine Foundation member, formed another organization called One Inc., which published One of the country's first pro-homosexual magazines. Other similar magazines were published, such as the Machine Review, The Ladder, a lesbian-oriented newspaper by the Daughters of Bilitis. Despite these progressions, the American Psychiatric Association, APA, listed homosexuality as a mental disorder in 1952. A year later, homosexuals were banned from federal jobs, which lasted over 20 years. Finally, things started to look good in 1961, as Illinois became the first state to do away with anti-sodomy laws, or laws that criminalized certain sex acts. The term transgender was also coined in 1965. The next year, members of the Machine Foundation formed a SIPIN, where homosexuals went to bars until they were kicked out, then sued the bar. Things took a huge turn in 1969 with the Stonewall riots. The Stonewall Inn, which served to homeless and LGBTQ youth, was raided by police forces. The people retaliated with riots and protests the following week, raising awareness for the LGBT. Shortly after the riots, the Machine Foundation split into the Gay Liberation Front. This was soon followed by Radical Lesbians, Gay Activist Alliance, and Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries. In 1970, a march took place in New York City to commemorate the Stonewall riots. This is considered to be the first gay pride parade, and the first time the pink triangle was used as a symbol for gay pride. More advancements were made. Harvey Milk became the first openly gay man elected to a political office in California in 1978. Inspired by Milk, a man named Gilbert Baker made an emblem for gay pride. He came up with the rainbow flag we know today. The following year, in 1979, more than 100,000 people took part in the first national march in Washington for lesbian and gay rights. Gay rights proponents held the second national march in Washington for lesbian and gay rights in 1987. In the same year, homosexuality, or idiostonic homosexuality, a variant where the person in question is in conflict with their sexuality, was removed from the DSM-3 and the AP as a whole. In 1992, the District of Columbia passed a law that allowed gay and lesbian couples to register as domestic partners. President Clinton passed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in 1993, which allowed gay men and women to serve in the military as long as they kept their sexuality a secret. This was not appreciated in the gay community. Sadly, Congress also passed the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, in 1996. The law prevented the government from granting federal marriage benefits to same-sex couples and allowed states to refuse to recognize same-sex marriage certificates from other states. In 1997, comedian Ellen DeGeneres came out as lesbian. Luckily, in 2003, the U.S. Supreme Court in Lawrence v. Texas struck down the state's anti-sodomy law, which effectively decriminalized homosexual relations nationwide. The first legal same-sex marriage takes place in Massachusetts during May of 2004. In 2008, however, California passed Proposition 8, which outlawed same-sex marriage. Things began to turn around with the election of Barack Obama. He awarded Harvey Milk the Medal of Freedom and signed the Matthew Shepard and James Bull Hate Crimes Prevention Act into law. that and Proposition 8 were repealed as well. In 2012, he openly supported the LGBT community. Finally, gay marriage was made legal in the Obergefell and Hodges case in 2015. In 2016, Obama announced that the first LGBT monument, the Stonewall Monument. 1 year later, D.C. residents became the first people in the United States to be able to choose X as their gender mark, instead of male or female on driver's license and identification cards. Disappointingly, President Trump made multiple efforts to ban transgender people from the military in 2017. On the other hand, Jared Polis became the first openly gay governor when he was elected into Colorado on November 6, 2018. Most recently, Trump's ban on transgenders serving in the military went into effect in January of just this year, 2019. In conclusion, the gay rights movement successfully legalized same-sex marriage and raised awareness for the LGBTQ community. From Henry Gerber to James Obergefell, we've seen people come together for a cause greater than themselves. Gay rights have finally become a reality through decades of hardship and protest. Finally, society is coming to accept and even embrace this progress.